Welcome back to the O'Shea Vlogcast here on the O'Shea Duke Jackson channel. I am your host. Today I am with senior writer of the Black Juggernaut and the owner and proprietor of the Obsidian Media Network, which encompasses the podcast he has, channels on YouTube, and also his newsletter, and coming up with his own website. You know him as none other than Obsidian, a.k.a. Mumia Ali. Welcome back on the show, man.
What's up, bitches? What's up, y'all?
I don't know if y'all can hear my girl in the background. She is cracking up. If y'all hear a woman laughing, then that's her. This is what happens when you give niggas money. Niggas get money and buy nice, expensive shit like this. They use it, okay? Obsidian, man, you know, like I said, you've been YouTubing for 2 years. Me and you started off at the same time. Do you remember this?
Uh-huh.
You start off the same time, and I've been a fan of yours since day one. I think I've started following you. You made your second or third podcast, and you've grown dramatically in that 2 year space. You have one of the biggest followings. I mean, not necessarily a large subscriber base, but you have one of the most loyal followings in Black YouTube. You know, you have a strong following, a very strong brand, a strong name. What is it that people hate about Obsidian Mumia Ali? What irks their engine about you?
Well, I mean, it's real simple. I mean, I tell the truth. I just simply tell the truth about life and about reality and about the issues that matter in our time today. I'm giving a voice to brothers that don't normally have a voice in the mainstream and Black Vagina Vision media. And, you know, a lot of people, Black women in particular, but not solely limited to them, because you always got to remember the Uncle Tim, Simps, Manginas, Panda Bears, White Knights in Blackface, you know, those types. They have a problem with the Captain Savings and whatnot. They have a problem with that. But, you know, that's the main reason why I get so much ire, is because I tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I do is just tell the truth. And the other thing, too, is, you know, I never held myself out as some great innovator or a great creator or originator. That's never been my claim to fame. My claim to fame has always been, let me get my echo box, the voice of the everyday brother. And I just simply say the things that a lot of brothers are actually already thinking anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I just simply say it out loud. And that generates a lot of butthurt and agita in the Bitter Broads of America LLC, the She Devil Black Men Haters Coven, Incorporated, etc. That's pretty much how it is.
Let me talk to you about this, and actually, just because I've known you since we started. I mean, I think me and you may have started. I may have started maybe a month or so before you, but you had past experience in the white manosphere for 7 years. How did that shape you to being the powerhouse guy that you are here in the Black manosphere?
I don't know if I go so far as to say I'm a powerhouse or anything like that. But what I would say is that having a lot of experience working with the brothers in the white manosphere, it gave me a lot of experience. It gave me a lot of exposure to things. Had a chance to build up a lot of contacts and stuff like that. It was very, very beneficial. You know, I learned a lot from my white brothers in terms of how to run a website, how to be an editor, how to write, and even to some extent podcasting. I didn't learn everything from them, but I did learn a few tricks from those guys, and it's been very, very beneficial. I learned a lot from Rouge, Paul Elam, my man that ran the Spearhead, you know, all those guys, even the Good Men Project. I learned some stuff from those guys over there, even them.
Yeah, they have an awesome website. I actually found that website because you reviewed. They're doing an excellent job. It's a wonderful website, great content over there. You are the first person that, I mean, I know Tommy Sotomayor was talking more about Black women as a whole. And even before Sotomayor, I had my own personal blogs. I talked about 2005, my experiences. Mm-hmm. But you are maybe the first person that went after a lot of elites in Black America when it came to females. In this most recent interaction with Sophia Nelson.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean Miss Thang?
Oh man,
the spinster. Okay.
Yeah, the spinster. First of all, what's Sophia Nelson's problem? And what are the problems with women like her in the Black community that are leading to not only their own demise of themselves as women, but to the demise of the community as a whole?
Well, it's real simple. I mean, she's obsolete. I mean, she's becoming increasingly irrelevant. I mean, she's. I mean, you know, we're in 2017. I mean, you know, I have to refer to it as Mrs. Thang. I mean, you know, she's really like, you know, equivalent to a rotary dial telephone. I mean, who uses that anymore? I mean, she's equivalent to a horse and buggy. Who gets around with horse and buggy anymore, other than the Amish people, you know, Pennsylvania Dutch country people, that sort of thing. I mean, she's an anachronism, and she doesn't like the fact that she's increasingly becoming irrelevant. And you know, her best years are behind her, not ahead of her. And she's angry because guys like me are pointing those things out. You know, the whole thing between her and me got started was because she did an appearance on Alan Roger Curry's show back in like 6 years ago, and I got wind of it, and I decided to give my take on why it was that she was, you know, single and, you know, a spinster. She has her takes as to why it is, and I gave mine. As a matter of fact, I have a whole series that I'm about to restart again. Listeners of my show will know what I'm talking about. I have this whole series dealing with spinsterhood called The Spinster Bubble and how it's bursting. A lot of your Generation X Black women in particular, late 30s through early 50s, are, you know, aging out, and they're on the path to spinsterhood, and never shall they ever be redeemed from that. And you know, we're just putting them out the pasture like the old horses that they are. That's really how it all got started. She got angry about that, made a big deal about it, even though my podcast was over a year old. And you know, we're off to the races. And she, you know, I get what she is. You know, she's, you know, a good, you know, capitalist and an opportunist, and trying to, you know, make hay while the sun's still shining. And on, you know, on that level, I don't knock her for it, but what it does for me, it's been great for business for me. And you know, since we're now, the battle has been joined, you know, it's my goal to just, you know, make the case as for how and why she's obsolete and full of shit. That's pretty much it.
Well, it's a very profound answer, but, you know, I got to play devil's advocate. I know you're not going to have any problem debunking any of these things, so let me just hypothetically talk to you about the spinsters, because what we hear, many people on the left, a lot of people say, well, hey, women are getting educated, and they are waiting longer to get married. So a woman like, you know, Sophia, maybe 40, 50, 35, 38, you know, hey, maybe they weren't ready to marry at a specific time, but, you know, now, since, you know, they're, you know, financially secure, they're not sure if a man's going to leave them or not, and they want to secure certain things. You know, now I have the ability to find love, and even though I'm an older woman, that doesn't mean that my value is diminished. How do you counteract somebody that says something like that?
It's bunk. Simply put, you know, people that have it going on don't need to talk about it. They just be about it. So, you know, that answers that question right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, the simple truth is that, you know, and all the stats and everything point to this, is that, you know, there are more and more women in general, but in this case, Black women in particular, who of that particular cohort, who are spinsters. That's what they are. They want to be partnered, but they ain't. And there are a lot of reasons for it. A lot of Black men don't want to be married. I've been saying this for the longest time. You know, Black men and Black women want, you know, largely, you know, vastly different things out of life. We have vastly different ideas of what constitutes a good life, what makes a good life. A lot of Black men have led the way in terms of MGTOW, in terms of going our own way. in terms of leading a very enriching bachelor lifestyle. And you know, our white and other brothers are, you know, coming online in more recent years and following our lead. So, you know, we have different ideas of what constitutes a good life. And a lot of these sisters want to be married and all the rest. That's the reason why they spend so much time talking about how they going to swirl. You know, Ms. Thang, she talked about that too, to no avail. You know, all that nonsense. The proof is in the pudding. I mean, if she ain't a spinster, where's the ring? I mean, it's that simple. If she ain't a spinster, where's the ring? You know. She got butthurt because I called her a spinster, and you know, she's never challenged it. She's never proven it wrong. It is what it is. I mean, people say, well, that's a derogatory term. Well, so what? I give less than zero fucks for anybody's feelings in this regard. I care what I'm saying is accurate or not. And the simple truth is that what I said about her was accurate, and she's done nothing to prove otherwise. So there it is. And I mean, she can kill all the whole argument right now, but just don't get a ring on her finger. She can kill that argument today or tomorrow.
Right. Let me do this. Canadian Asian dude, I want to give a shout out to him. He always sends us some good emails, and got to get back to the brother. So thank you for your emails. Thank you for everybody that's in the chat. But Obsidian, you know, you brought up a good point. When you say black men and black women have want two different things. We have two different goals that we want as a collective group. In your opinion, why don't you think black men want to get married?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of there's a really interesting book that I read, and I talk about a lot on my podcast called Disintegration, The Splintering of Black America. It's written by Eugene Robinson. He's a talking head at MSNBC, and he's a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist over at the Washington Post. And his argument is that as a result of the unintended consequences of the events of the 1960s and 70s, civil rights movement, women's movement, anti-war movement, the pill, Roe v. Wade, et cetera, as unintended consequences of all these different things, there is no longer a Black America singular. There are Black Americas. And in the book, he divides them up into four major groups. Excuse me, the transcendent, that's, you know, your Oprah Winfrey's and your Jay-Z's, those type of people. Your mainstream, that's your Family Matters, you know, middle of the road, middle class Black people. Your emergent group, which on one side would include biracial black folks that are, you know, part Black and part white or part something else. And then on the other hand, you have your Black immigrants, folks who are Black, but they immigrated to this country. They didn't come over here as slaves. They came over here and immigrated very, very recently in American life from the Caribbean and from Africa and whatnot. And then finally, you have the abandoned. That's your hood rat niggas, you know, park apes and all that sort of thing. So he argues in the book that these four major groups often have very different ideas of what they would like to have for themselves, and they have very different agendas as to how to go about getting that, and those agendas often conflict with each other, and that a lot of Black folk have a very hard time grappling and dealing with that reality because of our own neuroses and refusal to let go of the past and deal with the present and look into the future. And I argue, taking his lead, my argument is that it goes even deeper than just the four groups he mentioned. It's also a gendered thing. Black men and Black women don't have to be together anymore. Back in the day, you know, when we had Jim Crow and racism and, you know, coloreds only and whites only and all that sort of thing, you know, Black folk had to band together because we was dealing with, you know, all of that. Today, we don't have to deal with that anymore. And a lot of people that don't have to be together aren't. And so we aren't. And, you know, the simple truth of the matter is for a brother, you know, the average brother today, if he wants to, can get laid. Now, whether or not he can get laid with the woman of his choice, whether that's another question. But you can get laid without having to put a ring on it. That's just the plain truth. And so a lot of brothers decided, since I ain't got to put a ring on it and I'll just get the ass, I'll take the ass, thank you very much, and leave everything else. And that's what a lot of brothers did. They have their own ideas as to what a good life is. And Black women have their own ideas as to what a good life is. And the only problem is that the Black women like Ms. Dang have, you know, basically had a stranglehold and monopoly on the mainstream media and the Black vagina vision media over the past 3 decades, but only until very recently with the advent of high tech, computer tech, and social media, have the everyday brother been able to have his own voice heard. And that's another reason why she's such, incredibly butthurt over somebody like me, because I don't need her. I don't need her mainstream media. I don't need Black Vagina Vision to say Mother May I and get my side of the story told. I can just tell my side of the story directly to my audience, live and direct and uncut, and make my case, and and they can connect with me and they support me directly. I don't need AdSense or any of this other nonsense. I can make my case directly to them, and that she can't stand that. She gets very butthurt over that. A lot of women like Mrs. Thang are control freaks, and they want to be able to control what Black men say and do, and she doesn't get to control me. She may be able to crack the whip on those other lame ass dudes. She don't crack the whip on me. I say what I say and I give my opinion, and that's it. So a lot of Black men have different ideas as to what constitutes a good life, and that often will conflict with what a lot of Black women want. And all this talk about Black love and all the rest. I'm not saying that it never happens, but the jury is in. That we have, a Black marital rate of less than 30%. The last time I checked, it's like 29% in the United States currently. The jury's in. The vast majority of Black people aren't going to marry each other because we don't have to, and we have different ideas of what a good life is like. We live. Not only do we marry less than anybody else, we live together less than anybody else. Black men and Black women are the least cohabitated group of anybody in the United States. So that's because we have different ideas of what a good life is constitutes and what a good life is like. To me, everybody knows this. To me, a good life is being able to have a big booty, small waisted, big leg, pretty faced woman bent over my couch. That's a good life. Busting as many nuts as the law will allow. That is a good life. Now, I'm not saying that women have to accept that. I'm not saying other guys have to accept it. But for me, that's what a good life is like. And I pursue that with gusto. And there are a lot of Black women like Ms. Thang who don't like that. And that's too bad. We live in the 21st century. She got to get with the program.
Let me ask you this, because you make the case that we have different levels of stratification in the Black community. And certainly I can agree with that. You have your abandoned, which is like the neighborhood that I grew up in. You have the Black, middle class, definitely the emerging group. Let's talk a little bit about the emergent group, because when we think about the Black manosphere, right, and even in our own YouTube channels, we have a lot of brothers who are first or second generation emergents. They're participating in these forums too. A lot of brothers from Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Like Mr. Will. You got Don Calypso from Haiti. That's a first generation Black man. Now the emergent group, and they're jumping into this. No history of civil rights, no history of slavery. How do you feel the emergent group feels about marriage? And do you think that these emergent guys who are coming over many times with more stable family structures, many of these guys have pretty much of an advantage when it comes to certain technical aspects of science and mathematics? What do you think the emerging group is seeing in the United States when it comes to, as you would say, Black female fuckery?
Well, they're seeing the same thing that the homegrown brothers are seeing, and that's let me get my echo box here. They're saying black female fuckery. That's what they're seeing. It's the exact same thing. They're not in the lands of their birth and their ancestors. Over here, Black women and women in general are able to do things that would be a lot more difficult to do in certain parts of the Caribbean and certain parts of Africa and whatnot. And on some levels, that's good. Like, for example, I don't, this idea that Ms. Thang puts out that I got a problem with, professional women, that couldn't be further from the truth. I think it's great that women earn their own money, so that way I don't have to buy them anything. They come right over here, be bent over my couch, and once we're done, they can go back to where they're going back, and I can chill. And, so I think it's great that they can take care of themselves. I don't have any problem with that. But it also comes with some downsides. See, the problem a lot of people don't want to admit is that there are no such things as solutions. There are trade-offs. And so a lot of the things that have been good for women have also brought a lot of bad things for women, and by extension, the men who potentially have to deal with them. So a lot of your emergent brothers, and by that we mean brothers that are coming over from the Caribbean and Africa, they're seeing the fuckery of the American black woman, and sad to say, a not insignificant number of sisters from those areas of the world too. And a lot of brothers just say, you know what, I'm done. I think what really has bothered a lot of people in general, and then we're talking about black women in particular, I think a lot of black women just had no idea. They just didn't anticipate that, something like the black manosphere would happen, and that you would basically have a mass exodus of guys leaving the marital market. I mean, it's a documented fact that black men have left the marital market. That's a documented fact. So, a lot of brothers just voted with their feet and with their dick and with their wallet, and increasingly we're voting with our vote.
Okay.
And I was just reading one of my listeners had sent me something about Trump the other day. He had signed some kind of document, a bill or something, to authorize the defunding of Planned Parenthood. I started slow clapping. Let me do that clap. Kick them heifers off the dole, and I'm glad, and I think that a lot of brothers are quietly doing the same thing, supporting local politicians, things like that will enable them to have a much more freer life, less government intervention all up in their pocket, and they're able to live the life that they want. I mean, there's some brothers that just leave the states altogether, like you've done. Charles, I think his name is Charles Taylor. I want to say Taylor, the brother that organized the stuff in Brazil. I mean, there's a lot of brothers that do that, but yeah, there's a lot of our brothers from areas of the world that come here, and there are a lot of great things about America, but that fuckery, man, is a motherfucker. So a lot of guys just don't want to deal with that. That's where we at.
Let's take an intermission real quick, you guys. Thank you for all the birthday likes. My buddy Steve Collins from Sacramento, thank you. Man, Anthony Bryan Logan, the tech man. We might have to get him back on here, man. Talk some politics. ABL, man, if you want to jump on in a minute.
Yeah, I almost forgot, man. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear O'Shea. Calypso, Oregon. Happy birthday to you, bitches.
Oh my God. Shout out to my man Gemini 605, man. He's always supporting. Thanks, Obsidian, for that wonderful musical musical note there. Anthony Bryan Logan said LOL. Shout out to my Nigerian brothers in the stream, right? I know I have a lot of harsh criticism about Nigeria. You guys know me. I love Niger. All right. Many of us are descended from the same areas. So it's criticism. We're just distant cousins, so we can have a little family a disagreement sometimes. Be on the lookout. The Biafra is Rising. Okay, that's a podcast I'm working on. I'm not going to put it up now, but that will be a 2 to 3 part series. Where we're talking about the succession of Biafra from Nigeria and things of this nature. But let's get back to our wonderful guests here. And before we do so, let's get the likes up, you guys. Now, we have 128 watching, 62 people, right? Only like the video. I need 38 people to go like the video. That's the first thing I need you to do. So let's go ahead and get up the likes, y'all. Y'all being stingy and I don't like no stingy niggas. Get these likes up, nigga. That's the first thing. And the second thing, for all my new subscribers, because I gained about 400 in the last few days. Shout out to my brother Max Potential. I want you to get in the chat, subscribe to Obsidian Radio Podcast, okay? So Tyra, click on the link, subscribe to Obsidian. Many of you already know who he is. So, if you don't know who he is, you're going to find out. So let's go ahead and subscribe to Obsidian. Comment, subbed on the bottom. Let me know you subscribe to him. We want to go ahead and support the brother. He has a wonderful channel, a lot of good information. Okay, so let's keep the likes coming. 140 watching, 81 likes. Keep the likes up. Let's get back to Obsidian here on the interview. Obsidian.
Yeah, before we get any further, people have been asking me to address this whole thing with Serena Williams. And you know that the so-and-so who swirls, she's been all over that, and there was a big thing last year when she got, engaged to, what's his name? I can't remember his name now. No name white dude. And, it was a big deal, and, Crystalline the coward has been talking all this trash about no wedding, no womb. We found out with Tika Sumpter, she got knocked up before she got married. And then, Karen dialed it back, said, well, what I really meant was what had happened was no marriage, no engagement ring as long as you're a white boy. Now we got the situation with Serena Williams. And my understanding is like she's like damn near 6 months pregnant, belly way out to here. And she's not married, of course, engaged to be married. And of course, I'm waiting for, what's her name? Crystalline the coward to go ahead and talk some shit so I can go ahead and slap the bejesus out of her rhetorically, of course. And, just once again, just goes to show you the fuckery, man. It just goes to show you all of the fuckery. Here we have, the white boys' ice is colder. Once again, we see the fuckery. Once again, we see the price discrimination. It's you can't make this shit up. You can't make it up. You just cannot make this. If those two guys, if Tika Sumpter's baby daddy and Serena Williams' baby daddy were black, you never hear the end of it from Karen and her flying monkeys. But because they're white and they don't bring nothing to the table financially compared to these women, they'll get a pass because they're white. And that's what I mean when I say black female fuckery. That's what I mean by it. It's the blatant inconsistencies, hypocrisies, and contradictions, along with psyops, psychological operations and manipulations that so many, not all, but enough black women attempt to foist onto the rest of us. That's what I refer to as black female fuckery. Mm-hmm. And the Serena Williams situation is just another case in point.
Mm-hmm. Let me do this. I want to shout out to a brother who donated $10 to the super chat. Super Cujo in 916. That must be somebody from my city, great city of Sacramento. Again, thank you, brothers. It is my birthday, so that $10 will go to a bottle of Jerry Curl juice and some Hennessy. So
that's right.
Appreciate it. I know I'm missing mine on the top, but thank you for the donation, man. Thank you for donating. Like you said, when you donate to us, it donates to paying people like Obsidian, people like Alan Roger Curry here in the Negro Manosphere. The Black Juggernaut, our website, we don't have any ads on there. At least the new layout has some template ads, but it will be removed. We don't get paid for those. So thank you for supporting. Thank you for donating. I appreciate you in the stream. Obsidian, let me kind of go back to this because I was actually on Simone 56's Facebook. The one.
Hold on a second. You mean Sister Dolomite?
Absolutely. That's who I mean. And
but for real though, doesn't she bear a striking resemblance to Rudy Ray Moore?
I think
does she look like Rudy Ray Moore's kid sister?
I mean, I think that's giving her too much credit to even say that she looks like Rudy Ray Moore. That's too much credit. That is a hurt bitch. Okay, I'm just gonna keep it. I thought I was ugly. I see that bitch. I was like, there is a God. You know how even you ugly nigga, but you somebody uglier than you, you're like, oh shit. And every time I see her, I forget
by circumstance here.
Let me talk to you about this because I noticed that I was on her Facebook page because I go to see about this list. Obviously, that list is gone now for whatever reason.
I have it. I have the list. I got it.
Or there's no power behind the list. And then I noticed that what happened is, so she posted a picture of Janet Jackson's baby. And that baby's like super light-skinned. And she says, oh my God, look at the baby. Now, I find it very interesting Oh shit! Hold on 1 second, man. Wait, hold on, wait.
Pump Chasers in the building.
Hold on, man. Hold on. This is
Thank
my
you so
boy.
much, bro.
Hold on, man. This is
brother up on his birthday. That's what's up. More twerkers.
I gotta stop. I don't know if you know who that is, Obsidian. That's Chris Jones, man. Chris Jones, the big time YouTuber with over 400,000 subscribers, man. That's Chris Jones.
Oh yeah. I know who he is.
Pump Chasers, man. Listen, dude. I had to stop what I'm doing. I appreciate you, fam. I actually have a medical student that was hollering at me. He's like, "Yo, I was watching Chris Jones' video, and he had your video up." And I really appreciate this brother, man. He always supports the chats, man. Thank you, man, for the 100. I'm probably gonna give it back to you because I bought some shit off your website already. So I'm gonna just take your money and buy some shit off of your website. Like I got some muscles. And I'm gonna do some push-ups. So thanks, Chris Jones, man. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate that, Chris Jones. Thanks for hooking the brother O'Shea up on his birthday.
Yeah, man.
What's up? Everybody go and check out Chris Jones' channel on YouTube, by the way.
Yeah, you gotta
check out his YouTube channel.
We gotta support Chris Jones, man. He really, probably need it like that. But shout out to him, man. I'm about to get, a fake muscle sweater, nigga. I'm about to be out there acting like I'm you, nigga. Watch. So shout out to my man Pump Chasers. Let me do this, Obsidian, man. We're gonna talk about this because what was I saying? Obsidian, what was I saying? I got that money, nigga, and forgot what I was saying.
We was talking about. Wait a minute, hold on. Let me get my echo back. We were talking about Sister Dolomite.
All right, yeah, we talking about that ugly ass bitch. She was doing the same shit. Like the baby is light skinned and half black. Oh my God, look at the baby, right?
Oh yeah.
Now, plenty of black babies are born every day.
Yep.
Full black babies. Why does this ugly ass bitch not say, "Oh, look at this black baby"? She has to say it when it's a mixed Arab baby. Why do these hoes do that? I mean, let's talk about that.
Because look at the mirror. That's the answer to your question. Look at the mirror. She's looking like Rudy Ray Moore. So anything is an improvement compared to that.
That's an ugly bitch. God damn, man. You know what she looked like? She's been drinking castor oil all her life. You remember anybody who remember castor oil? Come on now. Press 1. Okay. God damn. She's so ugly, I'm coughing right now. Press 1 if you remember castor oil. My God.
Yo, did you hear the latest about her so-called Black Women's Anti-Defamation League GoFundMe hustle? Did you hear about that?
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the GoFundMe hustle of this. Talk to us about that real quick.
Yeah, she's supposed. The idea is they supposed to raise $10,000. They're supposed to be doing it with the quickness and all that. I checked it the other day, man. I think they stalled out at around 6,000. Maybe 6,500. Maybe they pretty much stalled out. So pretty much anything these sisters touches turns to turds. So there you go. I checked Crystal and the Cowards GoFundMe the other day, and she's got a $30,000 budget, and she hasn't even reached $5,000 yet on it. So there you go. And then there's Divine Dark Skin magazine by Little Miss Chrissy, and that's pretty much going to go down in flames by this time next year, if not sooner. And she's another one that hasn't really raised a lot of money for it. So these women, these so-called, greatly educated and smart, savvy sisters, they supposedly have it going on or whatever. They ain't got shit going on, but a bunch of GoFundMe hustles and debt. That's pretty much what. By the way, this has been confirmed. The average black woman that has a degree from a university has a net worth of negative $11,000. So there you go.
Let's talk about that real quick. All right, because here's the thing. You were a brother who worked 20 plus years in the blue collar environment.
Yep.
Didn't go to college, right? I don't know how many guys went to college. I don't know about for example, let's say like Pump Chasers or Kelly. I know Kelly must went to Fresno State, but we have a lot of brothers who have found other ways or other avenues to make money outside of the typical college education, right?
Yep.
Whether it's blue collar trade, whether it's your own business, something in the merchant market, and these black men like you yourself, you can attest to this. You made a lot of money doing what you're doing without a college degree.
Yep.
Now you have a
Oh,
lot.
I get paid big money telling black women about themselves and their unique brand of black female fuckery. That I make big money off of that. That's why they can't stand that shit. They get mad. They mad that I'm making money off of it.
But for example, a lot of women went to Tuskegee, $25,000 a year for sociology degree. A lot of women go to Georgetown for history degrees, and they end up with so much debt. And then you have black men who can make a lot of money off their skill set without encountering that much debt. And then that's another thing that can keep black men apart, because when you get married, you inherit that person's debt.
Got that right.
Right? Talk about
and I ain't taking on nobody's debt.
But talk about how women maybe that you may have met before that, you made more money than, but they had a PhD or a doctorate or something like that. Can you talk about that for a second?
Oh man, and I done gave lots of money to women over the years. I'm talking about not one particular woman. Over the years, and when I say years, I'm talking about over the past 2 decades. I've given lots of money to women to who got master's degrees and all this. I haven't done it with any woman that got a PhD, but the vast majority of them have master's degrees, and they live in this particular lifestyle, and they come and sniffing around me talking about, can I help them out with this or that? And I'm not the kind of dude that'll turn away a woman if she giving up the ass on a regular basis and a minimum amount of lip. So I said, yeah, I'll break you off. And of course, they never pay you back. Let me tell you something, fellas. Never give a black woman any money that she's going to pay you back. If you're just going to give it to her, just give it to her. Just say, fuck it, just write it off, and that'll be that. But don't loan her no money, because black women, who Biggie Smalls should have been talking about in the 10 Crack Commandments? They should have been talking about black women.
Why is that? Obsidian?
Back, but it was funny to listen to these sisters talk all this trash about blue collar brothers when it's been my personal experience that I'm not the one that's broken in debt. They the one that's broken in debt. So and I'm loaning them money that I'll never get back. That sort of thing. So there you go.
Let's kind of talk about where we are right now. As a community, and I want to get into like a little bit of this church scandals. I know that you're a Muslim. And I'm raised as a
very, 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 very moderate one. Yeah.
Very moderate. Okay. And I'm a very, very, very moderate Baptist. I can tell you for sure that when I was coming up in the 80s, and we were National Baptist and Switched to Southern, when that was in the 80s and the 90s, and the black church was still ran by men. Still very together, very organized, very few women preachers in the pulpit. You had very organization, very stratified, very productive. Now, though, people like my granddaddy, who's now about to be 100 in a few months, those men have died off, and now you see emergence of women deaconesses, women preachers in the church, women wanting to assume leadership in the church. Where has that left, in your opinion, the church and also the community because of things like this?
Well, I mean, I say this as somebody that's not a Christian, but what I will say is that from what I've read on the matter, that's not the church as it's described in the Bible. Now, again, I'm not a Christian. I'm not a member of a flock or whatever. So you take whatever I'm saying here as whatever you think it's worth. But based on what I've read, that ain't the church of the Bible. I can tell you that. Here's the thing with me. I don't understand why sisters just don't go and make their own religion, like Mormon people do. Like Mormon people don't deal with the Bible. They got the Book of Mormon. They got their own holy book. It's called the Book of Mormon, and they do their own thing. So I don't understand why black women just can't make up their own thing and just do that instead of, trying to co-opt the church. That's my thing on it.
Let me shout out Carl McFarlane for the £5 donation. Britain in the house. So thank you guys for donating. Shout out to Ed and Nisa in the chat. Obsidian, why don't you think that black women want, and I have my own opinions on this myself, but I'm gonna let you ask this. You brought up a good point that the Mormons went and started their own religion, their own book. Why haven't
I honestly don't know, man. Maybe they just don't have the ability to do it or whatever. Or maybe they're just too lazy. I don't know what the reason is, but I wouldn't really have a problem with them if they came up with their own religion and their own rules and regulations and who was supposed to do what and all that. I'd be cool with that. Like, for example, you got witches in this society. You got the Wicca religion that's basically witches, and it's pretty much ran by women. I mean, you do have men involved in Wicca, warlocks or whatever. But I mean, come on, the main movers and shakers there are women. It's a female-based deity type of deal, and they do that. And hey, that's what you want to do. Knock yourself out. But I don't understand going into the church. Let me put it this way: no way in hell are you going to have women imams. I can tell you that right now. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen. All right. You're not going to see, because basically imam means the prayer leader. You're not going to see women leading prayers, man. I'm sorry. You're not going to do that. Now, if women want to go and form their own mosque, based on their own version of the Quran or whatever, that's one thing. But if they're going to be dealing with the Quran, they're going to be dealing with the hadiths and all that. Oh, no. Right. Women don't lead the prayers. End of.
I think what the problem is that with certain things such as the black church. The black church is a place in black society. Are you guys? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I hear you, which is fine.
Okay, in the black society, in the black church, previously to the civil rights movement, things of this nature, I'm going to give you some history. It was one of the places historically that black people could actually earn a sense of self-entitlement or class. For example,
okay,
my grandfather, Deacon Thompson, for example, from Benton, Missouri, he had a third grade education. And many people of his ilk did at this particular time. It was not customary for people to go to college or to even finish high school. What ended up happening is if you wanted to be known in the society, there was only one way to do it. You had to be known in society through the black church. You had to be a deacon. You had to be a trustee. You had to be somebody in the church, and then that solidified you in the community. People like my grandmother, for example, she also dropped out of high school, but she was a beautician and a gospel music composer. She gained a lot of business through the church and fellowship through other churches. So it was a financial viability thing to do that. This type of kind of buying your way in black society, if you will. And keep in mind, now, it didn't even matter if you were poor or rich. Now, you did have your affluent churches like Shiloh Baptist Church in Oak Park that had their own affluent community. But most black churches, there are not a lot of black elite, depending on where you were in the country. So as the black church developed and people started getting education, that education didn't mean much unless it was associated with the church and who you are in the church. This is why you see people like Sophia Nelson, who is already a Juris Doctorate, right? But her life is not complete unless she can solidify herself in the church. You understand?
Right.
This is how the black community works. So the reason why black women cannot start their own religion is because the black church, although it was started by men and the whole type of thing, that they cannot deviate from that because that means giving up from what they had in society previously. And so what they got to do is, instead of trying to rebuild the church and starting their religion, they just want to transform the existing thing. That way they have the best of both worlds. They can transform what's already there to fit them so they can take it over, and they still get the same credibility. That's why you see so many people who don't have college degrees or say they don't have any kind of skill. Most of these guys want to become preachers. They want to become ministers. That's because they get some kind of social elite clout. And that's what most people...
Oh, no doubt about
it. This is what you see. So that's my take on why they don't want to do that. Hold on one second. Let me do this. Shout out to Steve Collins, about to go to LA. Listen, what's going on with Sophia Nelson in this? And by the way, I listened to a little bit of that first sermon she did. She's terrible. She has no idea what she's talking about. I feel women should never be. Women are terrible public speakers for the most part. They're awful preachers. That's just me personally. What's wrong with a person like Sophia Nelson trying to preach when she has a friend who is a corrupt individual, right? Who is already husband's a rapist, and she's a pimp preacher. Let's talk about that if we can.
Yeah, for those who don't know what's going on here, so let me get my echo box. Ms. Dang fashions herself as this high-powered attorney and freelance journalist who covered, the White House as a White House correspondent for Jet magazine. Remember that Jet magazine? I was like, damn, Jet is still around. When I was a kid, Jet magazine only served one purpose, and that was, the beauty of the week. But in any event, she did that, and she also apparently is kind of like this jackleg preacher type, and she goes around, the country and chops it up with other first ladies of the black church and that sort of thing. Earlier this month, last week, as a matter of fact, on her Twitter feed, she took a picture with Emmett Smith's wife, Patricia Smith, as well as one Miss Renee Fowler Hornbuckle, who is the ex-wife of the Bishop Terry Hornbuckle, a convicted, 3-time convicted rapist. Okay, he raped 2 women of his congregation of his church, the Agape Christian Fellowship. Raped another woman who went to a gym with him or something like that. And he drugged them and then he raped them. Okay. He's still in prison right now. He's due to be released in a few more years. I think 2020. So she's been seen, as recently as last week on her Twitter, taking pictures of these people and Miss Hornbuckle in particular. And they go way back. I mean, I've been doing some other research. I got a lot of, people feeding me all kinds of research all the time. And I was doing some earlier. And there's even more in that regard with, respect to Ms. Thang. And this isn't something that is a one-off. It goes back years. And it really raises questions as to whether, how can Nelson say on the one side that she's, a soldier for black men and for black women and girls on one hand, and then be cut buddies with a pimp preacher type whose ex-husband is still in jail right now as we speak for raping black women. I mean, if that is not black female fuckery, then the term has no meaning, ladies and gentlemen. And as for Ms. Thang's exploits in the pulpit, well, the Apostle Paul was pretty clear on that in 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 12. Again, I'm not a Christian, but I am familiar with that particular passage. He lays out the qualifications of those who are supposed to be church officers and things of that nature, who is to teach in the church and who is not. He was very clear on that. Women are not to be in the pulpit, period. I mean, that's just bottom line. They're not supposed to be in the pulpit, end of. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, she's all out of pocket, and I don't want to go too much into the weeds with that, but I'll just simply say, for those who are already in the know, keep your eyes out for future developments in this regard over at the Black Juggernaut, the Negro Manosphere. I'm the Sunday columnist over there. I'll be having a lot more to say along these lines, detailing the fuckery of one Miss Sophia A. Nelson. That's what I have to say about that.
Okay. Let me do this. Take a little bit of an intermission. Once again, I want to thank all you guys. Chris from Pump Chasers, man, can't say enough about him, man, and the things he's, always comes by and supports the channel. Even on my last channel, he came all the way over here. So shout out to Pump Chasers again and what they're doing on Instagram and what he's doing on his channel. Good buddy of mine right there. Keith White, shout out to him. Kelly Muscles was also subscribed to me. Want to shout out to him also. On my main channel, everybody who's been supporting what we're doing over here, people like Obsidian, who's the brainchild of something like the Negro Manosphere. He is the brainchild. I actually picked his brain a whole lot, and the brother is very, very highly intelligent, highly intelligent. He really knows what's going on.
Let me jump in here, O'Shea, because there's a sister in here named Andesia. I think her name is Andesia. Andesia Andanisa, that's her name, Andanisa. She says women can be in the pulpit, they just cannot pastor a church. So I want to ask you, O'Shea, what's the difference from being in the pulpit and pastoring a church? Is there a difference?
I mean, you will only be in the pulpit for preaching purposes. I mean, that's the thing. To me, I mean, I don't know what the pulpit, as far as what that means in the Bible. I've never read what pulpit means. I don't know how the early church gave sermons. I don't know if it was shaped like, I don't know what it was 2,000 years ago. But what I can tell you is that women, historically, if you're in the pulpit, that means you're up above people. If you go to black churches or any church now, in churches, there is really no pulpit because most pastors have a wireless mic they walk around. But if you're in the pulpit, you're looking down at people. If you're a woman in a pulpit, that means you are over the people in the crowd. And that crowd is men, right? God did not ordain women to preach to men, to pastor over men, to teach to men. That is not a woman's job. Women have that fucked up. That's not what their job is. They're not supposed to do that. God did not ordain them to do that.
Now, my understanding of this whole thing is, and again, I'm not a Christian or anything like that, so you take this for whatever you think it's worth. My understanding is that in the Christian, there are 3 pastoral epistles. Epistle means letter. Paul wrote 3 letters dealing with church matters and church organization. And he wrote 2 of them to Timothy, which is known to churchgoers as 1st and 2nd Timothy. And he wrote another to Titus, book of Titus. And all 3 of those pastoral verses or pastoral epistles speak specifically to how the church is supposed to be ran. And he makes it very clear. Once again, I cite 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 12. He's very specific on the fact that women are not to be, matter of fact, he says specifically women are to be silent in the church. So, I mean, women are not to be in the pulpit. Women are not to be pastoring over men. None of that. And again, as a very moderate Muslim, I could tell you, I've yet to go to a mosque where I've seen a woman lead the prayers. So that just ain't gonna happen. So it is what it is. Make of that what you will. So to Andanesia, I don't know where she got that idea from, but that's definitely not coming from the epistles of Paul, who is credited with having written how the the church is supposed to actually be ran. So I don't know where she got that from. But anyway, that's just my point.
Why do we have women like Sophia Nelson who are claiming that, their Christianity?
All right. Hold on a second, O'Shea. She's saying it now. She says it is Galatians. Okay. For those of you who may not be aware of this, there's a book of, actually it's another epistle known as Galatia. It's part of the Roman Empire in the I guess you could say pre or very early, well actually it would be the very early Christian period. So you're looking at the very early years, AD years in history. Okay, Andanesia, what you're looking at there with the Galatians piece, that's talking about, this is again my reading of it, so everybody take this for whatever you think it's worth. Galatians is supposed to deal with the question of the sanctity of the human being in the eyes of God as is seen through Christianity. In that regard, when Paul says there is no difference between Jew and Gentile, between man and woman, and between low and high, that is to say rich or poor, that they're all one body in Christ and all the rest of it. What he's talking about is that they're all the same in terms of grace and in terms of being able to be, sanctified and all the rest of it. That's a completely different matter from what he's talking about in the first 2 epistles he wrote to Timothy and the epistle that he wrote to Titus. Those 3 epistles specifically spoke to how matters in the church are supposed to be ran. Mm-hmm. That's where you're getting that from. With all due respect, Andanesia, no.
Can we get an Elvis microphone?
Say what?
Can we get the Elvis mic? No.
Oh yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. No.
Okay, so in your opinion, do you think that women like Sophia Nelson are using the church for just personal gain?
To ask the question is to answer it, my brother.
Let's go into some details about that.
Look at the people that she hangs. Look at the people. You are the company that you keep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just look at who she hangs around.
Here's the thing.
And Denise is saying that women can teach. No, women can. Where's my echo box? No, women cannot teach in the church. Please read 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 12. And Denicia, women cannot teach in the church. They are to be silent. No.
But what we can do here is we can do here. Let's do this, okay? 1 Timothy 2 and 12. We can read it from different versions, okay? Bible Gateway is clear as day. I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over man. She must be quiet. Let's even go over to and sometimes when you read the scriptures, there could be, and I haven't read this in a long time, but just before we look at that one, let's look at let's say 1 Timothy chapter 2. Let me look at what was going on in the verse before that previously. Okay, well, let's do this here, okay? Therefore, I'll start at verse 8.
Go ahead.
Therefore, I want the men everywhere to pray, lifting up holy hands without anger or disputing. 9, I also want the women to dress modestly, which is what they don't do now, with decency and propriety, adorning themselves not with elaborate hairstyles, weave, or gold, or pearls, or expensive clothes, Gucci purses, Gucci handbags, how y'all be dressing, but with good deeds appropriate for women who profess to worship God. Number 11, a woman should learn quietness and full submission. Stop right there, my Obsidian voice.
Yep.
A woman should learn quietness and full submission. Do you think a fucking big mouth like Sophia Nelson knows anything about being fucking quiet and exhibiting submission?
Yep.
Do you think Karazin, who runs her fucking mouth 80,000 miles a minute, knows anything about being fucking quiet and having full submission? Can I get a no, Obsidian?
Yes, true that.
Can I get a no? Can I get a no?
No.
Now we get to verse 12, where I do not permit a woman to teach or assume authority over man. She must be quiet. But listen to this. Why? Why? For Adam was formed first, then Eve. He's telling you, you know what? This is the perfect thing about this epistle. Because typically when, maybe if it's misogynistic, they say, well, he just told us not to do it, but he didn't tell us why. He's giving you a reason as to why he doesn't want you to teach. He says, because Adam was formed first, then Eve. Well, the reason why we don't want women teaching is because man was made first, woman second. And Adam was not the one deceived initially. It was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. What is he saying? Women lack moral standards. That the women, even though the man was not deceived by sin, the woman deceived him. So women, if they are teachers of the gospel, they will deceive and lie to who? People.
That's right. And she's talking about, Indonesia is talking, Indonesia is talking about Creflo Dollar now.
Okay.
And his wife, Taffy, well, she's allowed to teach. Well, guess what? She's wrong. Creflo was wrong. No.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, a lot of people, like Indonesia, well, she's new to my channel. She just subscribed the other day. So she's making a name for herself in the comment section. Just because Creflo Dollar does something, just because TD Jakes does something, does that mean they're greater than what the scripture is saying? Are they above the scripture? I mean, she may get the authority from her husband. Is her husband God? Or are you talking about what the scripture is saying? I mean, that's the point. I mean, you cannot deflect from what. I mean, this epistle must have been written. I mean, Timothy. This is Timothy, right? Timothy may have came 200 to 300 years after the Synoptic Gospels. I'm assuming because Jesus was dead and gone by that time. So were the disciples. I'm pretty sure. So when this was written, this is almost 1,800 years ago. So how is it then? Oh, hold on. How is it then that they may do that? She says, may I throw a curve? Acts 2:17. All right. Obsidian, what do you have to say to this? To what she's saying?
About the book of Acts? The book of Acts?
No, about her husband giving her power.
The book of Acts, it talks about how women dealt with matters privately. They were not in the pulpit.
Let me answer this, okay? Because here we have a miseducation of the scripture. Acts 2:17 says, "In the last day, God says, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your young men will see visions. Your old men will dream dreams." Okay, very popular scripture. I've heard this so many times. Let's talk about what prophesizing means, okay? Prophesizing means you have the ability to tell what's in the future. Or you can prophesize a fate that is going to come or impending doom. Okay? Let me give you an example of how prophesizing is not preaching. It's not the same thing. Okay? The prophet Muhammad, when God called him to preach in the Quran, I'll give you a good example. He came over many evil demonic visions of what he thought it was. He did not think that this was a call from God. But he had a wife named Khadijah, I believe. Khadijah was interpreting for him what those dreams meant, right? Am I right, Obsidian? Is he still there? Okay. She was able to interpret those things, okay? That does not mean that Khadijah is the founder of Islam. It's Muhammad, right? Muhammad is known as the prophet. Prophesizing in preaching, while a prophet could be a preacher, a person who prophesizes means they're talking about a doom. God tells you this is going to happen, you go tell that person. Okay? A prophesizing doesn't mean you have to speak to a crowd. Nathan was a prophet, right? And many times Nathan could speak to a crowd or he prophesies to certain people. Daniel prophesied to the king. Okay? Nathan went and told David certain things would happen. Prophesizing and telling the truth and preaching are not the same thing. Okay? Prophets, that's like saying a prophet must be the king of Israel. No. God called Saul to be a king, right? God called David to be a king, but he called Nathan to be a prophet. Do you get what I'm saying? Let me see if Obsidian's still here. Is Obsidian here still?
Yeah. I'm okay. All right. So let me go back to Surfing Tangent. Surfing Tangent made a point.
Oh, I can't hear you.
Yeah, Surfing Tangent made a point.
Okay, what's the point?
She brought up the book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 17. And my response to that is, again, that doesn't have anything to do with the pastoral epistles. Paul specifically wrote letters to his missionaries, Timothy and Titus, on specifically church matters, not spiritual matters, not whether anybody could prophesy, not none of this stuff, not whether men and women were equal in the eyes of God in terms of being seen as part of the body of Christ and all the rest of it. He wrote specific letters dealing with how to run church affairs, and he was very specific and clear about that. Acts doesn't have anything to do with it. Galatians doesn't have anything to do with it. Corinthians doesn't have anything to do with it. It's the two epistles of Timothy, 1st and 2nd Timothy, and the epistle to Titus. Those are the three pastoral epistles. That if you want to know how to run the church, those are the epistles that you go to. End of. Am I right or wrong, O'Shea?
No, you're right. Let's talk about this, where you can have a combination of gifts. Okay. After King David got old, he had a young son named King Solomon. Now, I'm going to do a podcast on the King Solomon years pretty soon. King Solomon was not only called by God to be the king of Israel, King Solomon was also blessed with the gift of wisdom. Okay? So King Solomon was a king who had a gift of wisdom. All right? That's a combination of two things, although both things are not the same, right? Because King Saul, who preceded David, was called by God to be the king of Israel, but he had no wisdom, right? In fact, he was replaced by David. Let's talk about another thing.
Right.
He had John the Baptist, right? Son of a priest, fiery out there. He was a prophet, yes, because what was John the Baptist saying? John the Baptist was saying, repent, the kingdom of God is upon you. Then Jesus comes out and preaches that same message in Mark 1:15, repent, the kingdom of God is upon you. Now John the Baptist is saying, I'm preaching with I'm baptizing with water, but the next person will baptize with fire and brimstone. Okay, John the Baptist is a prophet and a preacher. Okay, he shares two things. Okay, but you have prophets who did a lot of their work minor without speaking to maybe the whole public. Nathan, a minor prophet. You had prophets who did several things. Most prophets in the Old Testament, for example, they talk about the impending doom of nations. That's what prophets do. Prophets don't come and tell you good shit. They come and tell you, hey, something's going to be fucked up, right? Isaiah, one of the greatest prophets, walked around naked for 2 years, talking about impending doom. Does that make him a preacher? No, right? Prophesizing, right. Jesus, for example, is a mixture of all of these things. Jesus is definitely a prophet. Jesus is definitely the world's greatest preacher because he preached sermons. Yes, Jesus is the epitome of what you say. He is the founder of not necessarily the founder of the church, but his ideologies are. So these people can share these things or they cannot. That's why you get people who are prophesizing, means that I can see something that's going to happen. That's it. That's it. It has nothing to do with that person lead. That's why no prophet was ever king. No prophet was ever king of Israel. Not one. Not Abraham. Well, Abraham.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Going back a little bit to Andonesia's point about the book of Galatians, that was written like 10 or 15 years prior to the first epistle to Timothy. So, this came after, the pastoral epistles came 10 to 15 years after the events that are depicted in Galatians, and it was designed to address a lot of previous situations. There's a lot of conflicting teachings and, a whole bunch of stuff going on. So Paul wrote that to address all of those things. To this day in Christendom, if you want to know how to run a church, those are the 3 books of the Bible you look at in the New Testament, the 1st and 2nd Timothy and the epistle to Titus. That's it.
This is sharpening some of my stuff. I need to go back and read and study. So this is a good conversation. So, the thing is this also, what Obsidian is saying is Acts 2:17 is subjective. Right? It may be subjective, but what Timothy 2:14 or 2:12 is saying is not subjective. It's just almost as it's clear as day as to what the writer is saying about women. Women should not do this. This is why women should not do this. Okay? Enough. End of story. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem. That's just like saying, well, can gays get married, right? There are several scriptures in the Bible that prohibit it. Well, not prohibit, but prohibit that type of union, not necessarily marriage, but even contact, right? There are laws against it in the scriptures. And you can't, but people will always look for a subjective reason to justify a woman's preacher. And I mean, especially with niggas. Niggas want to do anything that they can get whatever they want or they believe out of the scriptures. Whether they can change it around or be subjective like Miss Thang.
Mrs. Thang.
Let me ask you some other things about this slander thing. You have been slandered heavily in this whole ordeal by.
Well, yeah, I don't mind. I don't give a shit. I could care less. See, that's the difference between. See, here's the thing: people don't get bent out of shape over stuff that's not true about them. People only get bent out of shape over stuff that is true about them. So remember, Mrs. Thang got bent out of shape because I called her a spinster. I didn't call her a bitch or a hoe or a thought or anything like that. I didn't call her any of those things. I called her a spinster. She got all bent out of shape because I called her a spinster, which was true. Now she says all these things about me. I don't give a shit. You want to know why? Because the vast majority of the things that she says about me ain't true. I don't care. It's that simple.
The preacher who is supposed to be a Christian is lying, right? She's trying to even make you synonymous with rapists, making you synonymous with people who are committing, murderous acts against people. What other things has she said about you? And trying to compare you.
Trying to connect this whole thing with Steve Stevens, this knucklehead, with her situation with me and all the rest of it. And it's bunk. It's BS. I mean, she tries to do this in a piece that she wrote for Huffington Post. I can see the reason why she didn't make law partner. I mean, with that kind of lax reasoning as an attorney, I can see the reason why she didn't make law partner. So that just explains that.
Why do so many educated Black women like Sophia Nelson? Why is their reasoning so off? Why are they living in the world of delusion? In your opinion,
affirmative action is one big part of it.
Explain that.
True.
Explain that, please.
Well, I mean, you got a situation, you got, Title IX and affirmative action, whatever. So, you got this thing, you can't discriminate in the United States against, gender, race, whatever. And so what ends up happening is a lot of firms and companies and all the rest of it get massive incentives for hiring, on the basis of gender and minority. And of course, Black women check off both boxes. And so a lot of Black women get on that basis. And they're not really all that sharp, but they do. And hey, it is what it is. So, I'm thinking that she's more like an affirmative action hire. So,
so let me ask you this also, because Black men typically don't have a voice against these type of people who have, Ebony.com connections, Essence.com connections. You've been very inspirational in what is known as Black male media now. We have a neighborhood manosphere. A lot of that has to do with your brainchild of a site that would look like. How are Black men responding to people like Sophia Nelson and those of the sisterhood?
Oh man, the response on my end of things has been great, and from what I can tell on your end as well, all they've done is just woken the sleeping giant, and to use that well-worn phrase, but it's still true. They've awoken a sleeping giant. I've been having tremendous impact and response from Black men, and for that matter, men of other races. I do a lot of my stuff. I conduct a lot of my business away from the eyes and ears of YouTube. Through various means. One of those means is my exclusive Obsidian Radio newsletter. I just sent out a newsletter today. As a matter of fact, to all my listeners, since I launched it last month, it's already grown by 15%. So I mean, it's been great for me. It's been all upside for me. See, again, if something ain't true, then you don't have anything to worry about. You're like, so what? You only get bent out of shape because something is true. And the only reason why Mrs. Thang got bent out of shape is because what I said about her was true. Something that to date she has not refuted. She's a woman of a certain age, no kids, not married. That's the truth. What is the word for that? Spinster. Okay. The end. Next question. You know what I mean?
Let me do this because, I mean, let's kind of change the subject a little bit because ebony.com wrote an article about, and I would like to have a discussion with you and Rashida Strober at the same time. I think that'll be very interesting. Ebony.com wrote an article about Gilbert Arenas and his preferences that he has, right? I don't know. Have you seen my article I wrote about it on the Negro Manosphere? Did you see it?
No, I don't think I did see it.
Yeah, I wrote an article right after I wrote the one on Steve Stevens. So you guys check it out. 5 reasons why Black women need to leave Gilbert Arenas alone about that. Well, anyways, it's funny because Ebony.com talks about they don't want no broke niggas. People like Sophia Nelson says accept us as we are, and you pointed this out. Why is it okay for Black women to have their preferences, but us as Black men, we are not allowed to have preferences?
Well, I mean, because see, this is my argument. Black women as a group, I'm not saying this is true of every Black woman, but I'm saying, let me put it this way. The Black women who have the microphone, so to speak, they don't see Black men as independent individuals in their own right. Like, if you ever notice a lot of Black women, what they'll do, they won't say some Black men do this, some Black men do that. They have a tendency to just lump all Black men in a basket. This is the reason why we call it Black men ain't shit. That sort of thing. And, Black men are supposed to just take whatever it is that Black women dole out. That's the reason why, one of the reasons why I make Sophia Nelson so angry and upset is that she can't dictate to me what it is that I talk about. I talk about what I talk about and I say what I say, and that's that. What I'm saying, period. That's all there is to it. She don't get to tell me what to talk about. She doesn't set the terms of the conversation. I determine the terms of the conversation. I determine what it is that is talked about, and I say it in my own medium, and I say it in my own idiom, and I say it the way I say it, and that's it. And a lot of Black women want to be able to tell Black men how to talk about things, what to talk about, when to talk about them, all these type of things. And more Black men are simply saying, no.
Oh, my God.
There's that.
Let's take an intermission real quick, you guys. So again, shout out to Crystal Jackson. Gave me a donation, $20. Crystal is a really good moderator. She comes in, moderates she can. She don't even need to do this. She does anyway. She's just such a good a person to me. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you for everything that you've been doing. I got some trolls in the chat. You're welcome to stay here. I don't feel like kicking you out right now. But what I want to do is, for those of you, I have 193 watching. I need 33 people to go and like the video because we're going to go ahead and try to get the likes up. Thank you guys for supporting me. I got so many private emails, messages. Me and my woman here, we were just so excited to interact with all of you. For those of you on my Facebook page, we went live out here in Budapest, and we were just having a lot of fun interacting with you on Facebook. So thank you so much for Hi Deb says she clean. Thanks, man. I appreciate you guys. So there are African American women out there who are still feminine and still, attractive and stuff like that. So, they are out there. That's why Obsidian says not all Black women are like that, but enough Black women are like that, right? So get the lights up.
Right. But enough of them are like that. If it don't apply, let it fly, ladies.
Let it fly, ladies.
Oh yeah, and Paul was right about one thing, that most women need to shut the trap. That's the appropriate position. Also bent over the couch. That's something I added. Anyway, okay.
Right. So that's so true. Bent over. I think after I get off this, I'm gonna go bend her over the damn couch. We ain't got no couch in here. Hey, been no couch in here? No, ain't no couch. No couch. Shit. Let me go ahead and put in Obsidian. We want to subscribe to Obsidian also, right? Obsidian is taking his time to come over here and be a great guest, as he always is. Like I said, he is a powerhouse. He's a double-edged sword here in the manosphere, not only as a podcaster, but as a blogger and as a radio host. So he has a pretty good platform. And Denisa bent me over the kitchen table. Oh my God.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, that's what's up.
Real over here.
I like that.
Okay, let's go ahead. Subscribe. Let's subscribe. Anthony, let's subscribe to Obsidian. Frederick Chopin, what's up, man? My man from Poland, but living in the USA. Alex Dixon. Paul was a fossil apostle. Interesting. Good point. Okay.
On what basis was he false?
That's a good question. Here's the thing with
I'm
this.
asking this of the guy who wrote Alex Dixon.
Yeah, I want to hear your
Alex Dixon. What's the basis that Paul was false? I'm just curious.
Like to hear that.
Alex Dixon.
That'd be a good one. Good discussion. So we have that, and let's subscribe to Obsidian in the chat, you guys. All right. If you guys have not subscribed to Obsidian podcast, you are missing out. Obsidian has one of the strongest black male channels on YouTube. I mean, really, he's probably one of the pioneers for strong black male content on the things that he was talking about. He kind of really shaped it into what we now know as lifestyle black male talking points, how to improve lifestyle for black men. People like him and News You Need to Know are probably the first people that I heard talking about black men's lifestyle, everyday life type thing. So go ahead and subscribe to him. Oh, the Professor Alan Roger Curry is here. Okay, I am late now.
Alan. I got to get my echo by Alan Roger Curry of Mode One. There it is. He's in the building. Hey, Alan, we talking about your girl, Mrs. Thang, and we're talking about church matters. So I know this is something that you'll be interested in.
Yeah, and Alan,
we got to see if we can bring him into the chat.
Yeah, if he wants to come on, man. You know, Alan Roger Curry is always welcome, man. Shout out to Oraka. So, like I said, we've been rocking with you guys. We appreciate all of you for what you do. Keep the likes coming up, and keep subscribing to Obsidian. Okay, keep subscribing to Obsidian. Let's talk about this Obsidian if we can. The slander, though, right? I mean, you have not disrespected this lady, okay? You have not said
unless by disrespect you mean I called her a minister. I mean, excuse me, not a minister, a spinster. Then yeah, I guess I did disrespect her. But I just told the truth. So if the truth is disrespectful, then yeah, I disrespected her. So.
And this person is now out there making so many threats. She has a security team. This person's gonna do this to you. This person's gonna do that to you. All of this bullshit. What's actually happened? I mean, like all of these scare tactics. Why are they using these scare tactics to try to intimidate you, to shut you up?
Well, I mean, like I said, I mean, nobody really gets bent out of shape if you say, you know, if I say O'Shea looked like Ronald McDonald, I mean, people look at you and clearly can see you don't look like Ronald McDonald, man. So I'm just like, why would you get upset about that? If I say, you know, O'Shea looked like Godzilla, obviously you look at a picture of Godzilla and you look at O'Shea, obviously they don't look alike. So I mean, you know, if you say things that are just flat out not true and everybody can see that it's not true, then there's no problem. People only get upset when you say things about them that is true and that they would rather not be true and they feel some kind of way about it that it's true. Then that's when you have the problem. And, you know, Ms. Thang has been, you know, saber rattling all, you know, for the past month or so. And I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still on YouTube. Nobody's come out to arrest me. All this nonsense. You know, everything is fine. If anything, I made more money, not less. So, I mean, it's a bunch of bullshit. She's mad that she can't crack the whip on me. She's not going to crack the whip. Now, what she can do is she can be woman enough to come on my show and we can have an actual debate about these issues. She can be a woman for once and do that. And we can debate and we can find out what the truth is and who has the superior argument, who has the better reasoning and command of logic and reasoning skills and debating skills. And we could do that. But she's not going to intimidate me or saber rattle me or crack the whip over me. She ain't doing that. I said what I said, and that's that. She's a spinster. Deal with it. That's it.
Definitely like that. Now, these kind of women like Sophia Nelson, I feel that they're very dangerous for black men to be around those kind of chicks because they lie. They will quickly turn things on you. What's your advice with black men with how to deal with women like Sophia Nelson?
Because well, I mean that question is easily answered. She's a spinster, so the way that a lot of black men deal with black women like hers, they to get the hell away from her. So that answers that question.
Right, but you have a lot of black women who have that Sophia Nelson mindset, who are younger women. You know what I mean? They work in corporations. They're always trying to kiss somebody's ass. You know what I mean? It's always educated black women who think like Sophia Nelson, who have like no respect for men, right? I think like these are the kind of chicks like that go to HR on brothers. They make up false accusations. They do anything to bring you down. They don't care.
Yeah, I was thinking about this whole thing with Bill O'Reilly, right? I don't know if he quit or he was fired from Fox. I know it happened today. I don't know if he quit or if he was fired. But in any event, he left Fox, however that happened today. And my thing is that what's going to end up happening is that's going to have a very chilling effect on the corporate world and big business. Like, I never worked in that world. I worked in the world of men, in the blue collar tradesman world. So I always worked with men for the vast majority of my 22 year career. So I didn't have to worry about dealing with women on the job and stuff like that. I dealt with women on my off time, in which what was the deal there? They shut their trap and got into position and assumed the position, bent over my couch. But a lot of guys who work in that world, in that business world and corporate world or whatever, they have to deal with a lot of women, and that's what you have to deal with in that world. And what I think is going to be the fallout from that is a lot more guys are just going to look at that and say, you know what, man, I don't want to be bothered. I'm done. I'll do something else with my time and my life. Have fewer and fewer guys going into the professions and stuff like that because it's just not worth it.
Well, when you talk about professions like that, what are those professions, if you could kind of talk about that?
Well, law, medicine, big profit, finance, a big nonprofit finance, things like that, those sort of things.
Oh God, which is medicine. And by the way, you guys, I'm finding a way to not return back to the U.S. medical healthcare system just for really what Obsidian is saying right now. Trying to figure out a way to stay in the EU and then establish some type of healthcare facility in another country, maybe go to Dubai or something, for exactly what he's talking about now, right? What he's talking about is so true, so real. Literally, you can go to go to law school, go to medical school, and it just takes somebody saying he's harassing me, he's doing this to me. You lose everything. Good luck of that happening to you in Poland. Good luck of that happening to you in Russia, or the good luck of that happening to you in Dubai. It's not going to happen. Saudi Arabia, it's not going to happen. And that's why a lot of men are choosing to become contractors and work in Afghanistan, or go work in Honduras. Men are looking to keep the U.S. dollar and then work in another country because of shit like that. All right. So you guys be on the lookout for those things, because women are out to try to get you. Many times, they don't want to see you win. While we're still discussing, let's get the likes up on the video. Take a little bit of an intermission. We'll talk a little bit about Bill O'Reilly getting fired, because I think we've seen many people on the Republican right, Maya Yiannopoulos, get axed from Breitbart, and we saw Tommy Lauren from The Blaze get axed, and now we've seen Bill O'Reilly. We'll talk about that a little bit and get Obsidian's opinion. Let's get the likes up here, okay? Yeah, that's my man, Spain's World. Yeah, man, Chris Jones, man, over at Pump Chasers. That's my man. I must be coming up in the world. Chris Jones, he's been always supporting my channel, man. I always shout him out. Him and Cali Muscle both, so I appreciate them both. So let's get the likes up, you guys. All right, we have a good show for you guys tonight. I got 168 likes. We have a great stream. Obsidian creates great streams. All right, get some more likes up, and we're gonna talk about the right here in what's been happening with Maya Yiannopoulos and Breitbart gone, Lauren gone, and Bill O'Reilly gone. What's your take on this, Obsidian? Because you did a wonderful story when Milo got
yeah.
You get a wonderful,
Well, I mean,
wonderful podcast on that.
What's happening is that the social justice warriors can't win the debate of ideas. They can't win the debate. I talked about this last night. As a matter of fact, there was a cat that I had on my show recently named New Possibilities, and I invited him on my show. We went at it. And it was a 3-hour show. So the first hour, he and I went at it, 1-on-1. No commercial breaks, no callers, just him and I. And it was clear that he just wasn't up to the task. And then when I allowed callers to get in, he complained that, there was too many callers at once and, he should be able to take them just one at a time. So I granted his request and I said, no problem. We'll do that. And so we went one at a time with the callers and he still wasn't up to the task. So I just got tired of him at some point and just started clowning him and just started clowning around in general and started having fun. And he got upset about that. I mean, the bottom line is that he couldn't handle the debate because he doesn't know how to debate. He sucks at it. He didn't have any rational arguments. He couldn't refute what it is that I was saying. He actually agreed with me clowning. He even found that to be funny. And so there was nothing really else to say. But, he made a video a couple days ago where he was all bent out of shape and cussing up a storm and all the rest of it. And I said, hey, look, man, it's not my fault that you suck at debate. That's your fault. You suck. And you just need to embrace the fact that you suck. Look in the mirror, say, I suck. How can I get better? How can I get better so I can debate this guy, Obsidian, again and make a better showing than I did the first time where I basically, got the Karate Kid treatment, wax on, wax off. And that's what's going on in the larger society with Milo and Tommy Lauren and all these people. They're making arguments cannot refute or debunk, so they have to go to these ideas of, well, he's saying something that's so bad, oh my God, trigger warnings and all this nonsense. It's a bunch of crap.
Wow. Let me read this to you because my buddy, and it's funny, me and him have went back and forth, man, many times. He says Onyeka Onyebuchukwu. During my internship, I almost got fired for mistakenly referring to a black female colleague as dude in a text message. She reported to HR, hence my hatred for American black women.
I'm serious. What is going to end up happening is going to hasten the mass exodus of men away from these jobs. I am so glad that I worked in the trades all my life. I didn't have to deal with women like that. I worked with men. I might have seen like maybe one fight in 22 years on the job, that sort of thing. And I'm glad that I never had to work with women like that. I just am. I mean, I feel for these guys who have to work with women on the job. That it's just too much of a headache, too much of a hassle. I predict more and more guys will just say, you know what, I don't want to be bothered. They won't go to college. They won't deal in these firms. They'll probably flock to doing what I did, going to the trades or going into business for themselves and doing their own thing as far away from women as possible. We already got that in Black America anyway. So there you go.
This is a great hangout. Obsidian, what do you think that you see the state of the Black manosphere in the next 2 to 3 years with what's been developing now?
In the EU?
Just all Black men all over. And shout out to my man Perry Stanislaw, my man from London. He's
Perry, what's going on, brother?
Yeah, he's a very articulate guy, man. He critiques everything. He doesn't hold any punches. So, what do you think that this is going to be in the next 2 to 3 years for Black men all over? Black men in London, USA, Nigeria. Where do you see where we're going right now? Where is it going to be?
Well, I mean, pretty much the deal with Black men in the United States and Western Europe and places like that is those guys are pretty much already disengaging from the Black women there. I mean, the UK ain't that different from the United States in that regard. Mm-hmm. Black men, for the most part, I'm not saying every last Black woman, excuse me, but for the most part, a lot of Black men pretty much disengage from Black women. I hate to say it like that, but it's the truth. They pretty much disengage from Black women. They stay away from them and they avoid them. And especially when it comes to work, I mean, you're just not worth the hassle, man. I mean, look at what Bill O'Reilly's going through right now, and he's the top #1 moneymaker for Fox. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it, man.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. It's so true. Wow, man, I don't even know what other more questions. I mean, because you've been kicking ass pretty much all 2 months. I mean, this whole thing started like in mid-March, and we've been going at it with Sophie and Nelson. I'm not what I have noticed. Some YouTubers, we all got affected a little bit because of the YouTube ads. You lost a channel, a pretty good sized channel with over 2 million views. You were able to bounce back.
By the way.
Yeah, and you actually, to me, I think you're getting more views per video than you were on your last channel, on your new channel.
Yeah.
You get more views than your actual subscriber count, which is like when you post a video, you're getting almost like 120% more than your actual subscribers, which is an awesome thing. Now, some YouTubers have not been able to bounce back as good as you. Why do you think that may have been?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I think that a lot of brothers. Hang on a second. I think a lot of brothers, when they started out on YouTube, they looked at it a little bit differently than I did.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see YouTube as the end all be all. I saw YouTube as part of an overall grander strategy, which I don't really want to divulge, but yeah, I saw it as a part of a larger strategy. I didn't see YouTube as the end all be all. But a lot of guys did. A lot of guys kind of saw, YouTube as the final destination, and then they got hooked on the Google AdSense money.
Yeah.
And so, when this whole thing, when the drop of the axe happened last month, a lot of guys was caught assed out. They put all their eggs in one basket. That's the first rule of business, is you want to diversify your portfolio. That's what I did. And they allowed themselves to get got. And they had a hard time bouncing back. Whereas for me, I never relied on AdSense money to begin with, and I had started building my own in-house fan base from day one. So when all this happened, my operations continued to roll without skipping a beat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I chalk it up to planning, or the lack thereof, on the part of a lot of our brothers, unfortunately. Hopefully what they'll learn from this is to not be so dependent on YouTube or its money. YouTube as part of an overall strategy, just a piece in the puzzle, rather as just one big egg in the basket.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is something that I also have also noticed. I was a person that did almost everything with AdSense money before this time. One thing that I did get started with the AdSense money that I did have was to start the Negro Manosphere. I put that money up to get it started. And I did notice that those of us who were affected by it, who had like another alternative medium, were able to kind of like keep going. And like you're on Patreon, for example, I had collected a certain amount of emails to keep going in another outlet. So that helped. So I did notice that, but you were able to come back in some other guys, maybe not so much. But it just goes to show that we have to keep the platforms going, keep the secondary mediums coming, and keep building. Shout out to Alan Roger Curry, man. He likes that Calypso Oregon thing, man. Everybody likes that.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody did a loop of you doing that too. Somebody online did a loop of you like 5 minutes long, just saying Calypso Oregon. I can't remember. It might have been Junk Pile Video.
Yeah,
I think he might have did it. Yeah, somebody did a whole loop of you just doing that. It was funny as hell.
Yeah, it was one of my subscribers. They actually did a mixtape, man, of me Calypso Oregon it. But shout out to Alan Roger Curry, and everything. And Denise is back. So I don't know, man. We've been on 2 hours. Unless you have anything else to say, is there anything?
I'm gonna wrap it up and take it down for the night. Because it's look like it's well, no, it is raining here, and when that happens, the old war wounds start expressing themselves, and I got a time limit on how long I can sit in this hard ass chair, bro. So wrap it up. But yeah, I thank you so much, man. We got to do this a lot more often. I had a nice time tonight, and I want to thank all of the people who came out to check out everything. Want to shout out again to Chris Jones. And thank him so much for the big donation that he gave O'Shea. Everybody, don't forget to check out the Black Juggernaut, the Negro Manosphere, headed up by my good friend and brother O'Shea Duke Jackson. He's the editor and proprietor and owner. It is the Black men's premier news, opinion, commentary, and lifestyle. www.negromanosphere.com. I am the Sunday columnist, and I'll be having a new column coming out this Sunday. By the way, don't forget to check out my man Dave Simmons. He's got a new column, a new feature over at the Negro Manosphere. He's writing on life as a Black veteran coming home from war. That's a very important issue for a lot of Black men, our brothers out there who are veterans. He's holding forth for the brothers and representing for the brothers who are veterans. He's got a new column out, so go over there and check it out. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, O'Shea.
Thank you so much. Thank you for Eugene Payne, $5 donation. Also, I got to give another shout out. First of all, to Obsidian. Me and Obsidian, we had our ups and downs personally, more ups than downs. We have disagreements, but me and him are just a exceptional team. Guy always go, I talk to him every day. Me and him working together has really taken, I think, the whole idea of a lifestyle for Black men ideas to another level. Guys like Alan Roger Curry, who Obsidian got in contact with, and he's, because of Obsidian, Alan Roger Curry has been able to come to the Black Manosphere, and now Alan Roger Curry is back YouTubing. I mean, this whole platform has allowed a lot of people to use this as one unit. I mean, we got people like Alan Roger Curry, who is the Monday man, and you got to be hot shit to get Monday on the Black Juggernaut. And Alan Roger Curry's do numbers, absolute killer numbers. He gets the most views on the site.
Oh yeah.
And coming behind him, secondarily, is the giant killer, Rom Wills, another guy that I met through Obsidian. And Rom is a hell of a YouTuber now. Rom is killing on the site. Guys like, we do interviews with guys like Stephen Dean Williams, Donovan Sharp, all of these dudes who have so much to give, so much, life knowledge, especially the younger Black men. I mean, if I knew somebody like Alan Roger Curry 10 years ago, I knew somebody like Obsidian 10 years ago, I was just going off a primal instinct. But man, how much better would my life have been? How much easier things would have been for me. If I knew guys like Ron.
Very nice of you to say, man. I really appreciate that.
Much fuckery that we were going through in here. Man. So I think Obsidian for developing the Black Manosphere. You have to give credit to where credit is. He has developed it as far as blogging. And as far as a lifestyle, he has really given us a good formula. And, people like me, I've just added what I could to it. And we were one hell of a 1-2 punch. And so I thank him. I really have always appreciated him. He's a good friend of me. We've had our disagreements and fallouts. Everybody knows about that. But I remember when I first heard Obsidian, I was still living in America before I came to Poland. I will go to Grant West gym. And I will walk around the track listening to his podcast every day. Every day I will walk around. And still, to this day, even when me and him were having beefs, I was still listening to this shit. Y'all, it's like, I ain't gonna like the nigga video. I'm listening to this shit, dog. And I would listen. And sometimes I'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna steal this nigga idea and get a lot of views off of it just to see if he gonna know if it's his idea. But I really have learned a lot from Obsidian, man. A whole lot. He has really helped my career. He's really, 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 really helped my career as a YouTuber, man. There would be no Negro Manosphere without him, and it wouldn't be, I would not have developed as a YouTuber myself without people like, ARC, very bright, very highly intelligent guy. So like I said, we're really making strides, you guys. Don Calypso, we really have a good team. This is what happens when black men can work together. Things are getting better. So thank you guys, everybody that helps us, supports us out. Minister Jap, the minister, everybody, Angry Man, Ringo TV Raw, everybody except that fucker Reluctant Nobby. But I like that nigga. That nigga is a coward. That nigga tried to say I got his page shut down. I report I'm an agent. Nigga, please. BGS Ibmore.
Really?
Yeah, nigga said that shit. You know, niggas with no talent are gonna have something to fucking say about a real nigga. But anyway, that's another story. But anything else you want to say, Obsidian?
Well, yeah, I just want to say again, thank you so much for bringing me on. Happy birthday to you, brother. And everybody check us out on the negromanosphere.com. It's really good stuff over there. Not just me, but Alan Roger Curry, O'Shea himself, Dave Simmons, Ron Wills, AH3, Donovan Sharp. There's a lot of really good brothers over there doing some really bang up work. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, O'Shea. Let's come back again next week and do another one.
All right. Shout out to Ezra, Sneaker P. Some of y'all niggas like, yeah.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace out, y'all.